into this stuff. So a buddy of mine has brought me this bike, and he wants to make it badass. Said that he wants to just build something, a pit bike to have fun with, to go race pit bike races and just purely have fun on. So how we're gonna do that is gonna be these parts. Oh man, we got it all. Got the V2 race head, got the 140 cylinder kit with the bigger carb, the 26mm carburetor, throttle cables, full pro circuit exhaust. Got some suspension stuff sitting back here for her, bigger cam, tall foam seat cover, or seat and cover. It's not actually even a seat, it's just the padding. Whole new plastics kit. Man, this bike's gonna be sweet when we get her done. So, as you can see, there's things on the bike that need replaced, and these bars are trashed. We got new bars and stuff sitting up there for it too. But we're gonna go through and clean anything up that needs cleaned up, put all these new parts on it and start going. You can see it's got brand new tires on it already. Put some nice Dunlop MX34s on it. He went ahead and pulled the rims off before he brought me the bike so that we could do he could have the wheels powder coated. He just had the whole wheel powder coated, so I guess we're gonna see how that works out. And then he brought me the wheels when they were done and put new tires on them. So outside of that, this bike's gonna look brand new when she gets done. All right, so for those of you who don't know me, I'm Rob. This is Maxton. So we're gonna be working on this bike today. He's gonna be probably riding around in the background like a freaking maniac, huh? Yeah, so you'll probably hear that quite a bit during the duration of this video. Did you get it? Okay. But so this is Braap Boyz. It's been a while since we've been on the YouTubes and making videos like this, but we got into this new shop, and I don't know, I feel like I've had a couple people tell me that I need to start doing more videos and stuff, and they enjoyed watching the stuff, you know, or they just recently found me and had been watching the old stuff. But anyway, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna put a video together of us working on this KLX 140. We got all these nice parts to put on it, and I think it'll be a pretty good little I guess mini series I could do. It's not gonna take me very long to get the bike done. I'm gonna get it done pretty quick because I'm gonna put a lot of effort and time into actually doing it in the next few days, but I think I'm gonna try to space out the content with it. Without further ado, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and put all this stuff into a box of its own and start getting things ready so that I can put this head together and then start stripping all the plastics and stuff off the bike so I can get it down to the engine. Heads are absolutely amazing. I can't wait to get the other head off so that I can set them side by side and show you guys the differences in this stuff versus the stock stuff that's on the bike. So I'm gonna start getting this stuff put away and we'll get rolling with it. I'm gonna start taking all the plastics and everything off the bike. That way I can get it down, and I'll take the exhaust and stuff off, and then they'll be ready for the head and stuff to be pulled off. But first I'm gonna start with just stripping all the plastics off of it. And then we'll just kind of go from there. So. Another thing I like to do when I'm stripping bikes is I have multiple different impact heads. So there's a 10, there's an 8. Piece is broke, but other than that, pretty good shape. I gotta cop these screws for the other one. And I gotta find 3 screws for this side because it's missing them. So first things first, I'm gonna go ahead and remove the carburetor out of here. And start with pulling the slide out. We'll look at the slide and see if it's got any damage or anything. Yeah, it looks alright. Needle look good. That cable's starting to look a little dirty inside there. That's something that we'll deal with later, because I think that all those parts that I have in there, there's a throttle cable in there that's longer for the bigger carburetor. So now, at the bottom of here, there's a Phillips screw. Set that up for this boot right here. And then on the inside of here, there's 2 8mm bolts, and that'll take the carb off. Or we can take these off and just pull the whole piece out as one, which is probably what I'm going to do, because this boot and the carburetor are both getting replaced on this anyway, so this is just technically a wee part. So I'll grab a Allen wrench to fit these and we'll pull that off. Alright, so pull this up out of the way. We'll tuck it in back here, that way it stays out of my way for a minute. Got my Allen wrench in here. Go ahead and loosen these bolts up. They're probably going to be kind of rough because usually these bolts have never sees inside of them, or not never sees, Loctite. So it's probably going to be a little bit of a pain in the ass to get these out of here. And if need be, you can take a torch and you can heat this up and it'll melt that Loctite and it'll make them a little bit easier to come out. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over and get a socket with a ratchet and get these the rest of the way out of here, and then I'll come back to you guys when I have the whole carburetor out. Alright, so pull it out of this back boot. That way we can get it up here and get it accessible to this throttle cable. So the throttle cable is probably going to leak some gasoline too because the bowl's still full. So we'll push this up like this. Slide this over like that. There you go. That's disconnected from there, and you should be able to pull this rubber boot up there like that. And you should be able to pull that out far enough to get it out of there. Now your carburetor's completely free. Sweet. Okay. So I grabbed that other carb out, and sure enough it does have another spring and cap, because look at the size difference in these two carbs. That is massive compared to the stock carburetor on that. That's the air boot side and this is the engine side. Look at that, this is the engine side like this. This is the crazy, huh? Yeah, and then it comes with this too, a gasket, another rubber boot, and all the screws to put it all together, plus it comes with a whole bunch of jets so that we can get it dialed in and running good. So this is no longer needed for this 140. So we'll put that in the box full of parts that's going to come off and not get used. And I'm going to put this back in the box for now because I still got a lot to do to that motorcycle before this is ready to go on it. So well, my camera is about to die, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw it on the charger, and I'm gonna work on this a little bit. I'm gonna pull this slide off. I'm gonna work on getting all the motor mounts and everything off so that I can pull the head and the cylinder off. That way I can have the cylinder up on the bench with the other one. And then we can do our side-by-side comparison of it and figure out exactly where we need to go next. I know I need to put the head together, so that's gonna be one of the next steps. So we'll get there. I'm gonna go ahead and charge my camera and get to pulling this apart. All right, my camera still doesn't have very much of a charge, but I got everything pretty well taken down that I need to get taken down to be able to do this motor first. I still got to do things like I got to pull the shock off to do the spring on it, and I got to do the forks, but that stuff I'll save for later. But for right now, I want to start getting this head and stuff off of here. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get some compressed air, and I'm gonna blow all the crap off of it, and then I'm probably gonna take some degreaser and wipe all of this stuff off right here. Try to get all the dirt and just anything that I can bump and like rub off of here and down into the engine after it's opened up. All right, and just like that, get it all cleaned up. Everything's looking a lot cleaner than it was. And basically all I use is I just use this, not really even this specific brand. I just use citrus-based cleaner, like cleaner and degreaser, and just kind of spray it down, wipe everything down. It seems to get the dirt, because these things once they sit in dirt for so long, they start getting hard and crusty, and the dirt don't want to come off. But you spray it down with something that's citrus-based like that, and it comes right off as soon as you spray it on there. So that's all nice and clean. So now I can go ahead and start popping that head off there, and I know better now that there won't get any dirt in the bottom end. So the main focus in this video is to show you guys how to do the big bore kit and the head install. And I mean, you can do this with just the big bore kit as well with this stock head that's on this one, but we already have the race head, so we're gonna set that one up as well and kind of go through all that stuff too. That way you guys kind of have an understanding of how to put all this stuff together and make it work. So I'm gonna start pulling that head off, and then we'll get to whatever's next, I guess. One thing I do want to say though is pulling this head and cylinder off is pretty much all I'm going to be doing for the rest of the day. It's I got everything else stripped down, so everything else is good. So now I just need to get that off, and we're rocking and rolling so we can start getting the new stuff back on it. All right, so here's one of the main things. This is the main first piece that needs to happen when you're going to start pulling your head and your cylinder off. Because inside here you have a crank. Inside here you have your piston and your rod, and up top here you have your cam. Well, this cam needs to spin together with this crankshaft. So in order to do that, it has a chain that runs top to bottom to keep this one in time with this one, so that their valves are opening at the correct time of when your piston's at top dead center or coming to top dead center. So with the chain, you need to have tension on the chain so that the chain doesn't come off of its sprockets. So that's what you do with this. This right here is called your timing chain tensioner. So as you can see, it normally has a bolt in here. I've already went ahead and removed that. Then it has two 10mm bolts here. This is one thing that I've seen a lot of people, like even mechanics that have been around for years, and mind you, I don't really know shit. I just learn from what I do and go about my day and try to incorporate it into my life in the future. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna take my screwdriver and stick it in here. It's a flathead screwdriver, it's a small one. You stick it right here in the back of this. Some bikes you can get to it from back here, and some you can't. This one just happens to be actually have a pretty soft spring in it, so it's pretty easy to turn. So once you get it in here, you should be able to find the spot where the flathead connects with whatever the screw is inside here. And then you can usually figure out which way tightens it and which way loosens it. In this case, it's clockwise is what's going to loosen it. So as we turn this clockwise, it's going to retract our timing chain tensioner And once we get all the way to the end of retracting it, you can feel it stop. And then if you turn it just a little bit, give it a little bit of a snug down, make it a little bit tight, you can pull your screwdriver out and it stays backed out without having to hold the screwdriver and take hold the screwdriver in here and take these bolts out. You don't want to have to hold the screwdriver in here. Another thing that helps with relieving all the tension from the tensioner onto the chain is pulling these bolts out too. Because if you don't do that and you try to like pull them out, the first one usually will come out fine, but the second one you usually have to fight with it because it's constantly putting pressure on it and you can't get to a point where it makes it spin easy. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish taking these out, and then when I get both the bolts out, I'll come back as I'm pulling the tensioner out of the actual engine. Okay, now both bolts are out of this timing chain tensioner, so we're gonna go ahead and pull it out. And then what I'll do is I'll show you guys how this thing works. So here's what it looks like after you pulled it out of the bike. If you put this screwdriver right in here like this, if I pull the screwdriver out of it, see how it returns all the way out? And then you can put the screwdriver in it and you can turn it and it'll go in. And if you turn it all the way in to right there where it stops, it'll still come out, but then you can turn it just a little bit further and it'll lock it down. So that it doesn't do anything until you hit it with your wrench. Don't go too tight, because if you go too tight, then it won't auto unlock like that. Okay, so the next step I'm gonna take, I'm gonna go ahead and pull off this cover. All right, there's both bolts. Definitely don't want to do that. Okay, so now got these covers off. I wiped everything off so that there was no oil left on it. Usually what most people would tell you to do here would be to put this motor at top dead center. It doesn't matter. You don't have to put it at top dead center before you pull it apart, because when you put it back together, you're going to be putting it at top dead center anyway. So what I like to do is you spin your motor counterclockwise, building compression, and then it slips. So you have that moment where you're turning it and it feels like there's no friction against it. You'll feel it click out of it. And what that is, right there, it's like this free spot down here. What that is that means that the cam lobes are completely off of the valves. So that means that there's no tension on the valves. What I'm gonna do now, I have everything loose. The only thing I need really left to take this head and cylinder off is these 4 main bolts. So what I need to do is I'm going to crack these loose. I'm gonna do a 1/4 of a turn it from here to here on each one in a crisscross pattern. So 1/4 of a turn, 1/4 of a turn, 1/4 of a turn, 1/4 of a turn, and then I'm going to do half turns. So from here over to here. Now they're completely free. I just like doing it that way because it just keeps anything from warping. Stick this on here. Okay, so there's all those. I'll go ahead and pull them all out. And when you're pulling these out, you want to make sure that if they are different lengths, which I believe these two are, they're a little bit, they're a little bit different. If they're different lengths, you make sure you know where they come from. So I'm going to mark them. I was wrong. They're all the same length, so we're just going to go ahead and pull them off to the side. Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and zap this off of here. And just so you guys know, this is a backwards thread. So you tighten it to take it off. See? Make sure that when you put this back on too, you put Loctite on it. So now the head should be totally free to be able to come out. Also, there's a little pin right here inside of this. Don't lose it. That's what lines your cam gear up to your cam. Okay, well, I definitely forgot that there was 2 bolts down in here, so I went ahead and took those out. Now this head is ready to come off and reveal what's inside this engine. So, slide it out over here on this side, try not to mac anything up. There's the head. All right, we'll go put that on the counter and start looking at the rest of this stuff. I forgot to hit the record button. So next what we're gonna do is we're just gonna grab the cylinder on both sides and just kind of wiggle it up and off of here. We're gonna have this one cam chain tensioner that's gonna come out with it because it goes into the top of it. So there's that. That cylinder looks really good. So these are all parts, we're gonna keep these. Whether Josh wants them or I just put them on my shelf for later, for something else. I don't know yet, but that's what we're gonna figure out. So now we're gonna go ahead and check the crank and stuff. Rotate it over so that it's exactly at top dead center. Yeah, I'm not feeling nothing. I'm not feeling any play. It's got very little side to side play and no up and down play at all. And up and down play, what that is you want to go in a straight line from where this rod is and then up and down towards the center of the post in the crankshaft that it's mounted on. So if you don't want any play in that bottom spot where it's mounted. And that what you're hearing, that's just the transmission from the crank rotating just a slight bit. We got all of our rags in there so our clip don't fall in there. So I'm gonna use this pick. Just a flat or a pointed pick. I'm gonna stick it down in there and get right underneath of this wrist pin clip. Pull it out, put your thumb on the back side of it, pull it the rest of the way out. Once that's out, you should be able to slide this pin out. Just like so. And your piston come right off of your rod. Okay, just before my camera ends, we're going to go ahead and do a real quick side-by-side comparison of the stock KLX 140L head and the BRT racing head that comes from I think it was BBR. BBR is where this head came from. Okay, so we'll go ahead and flip these up with the chambers, push that valve in there, and right away you can see this one, I mean, obviously is dirtier because it's been used and this one has not, but you can see that everything, like these valves look smaller than these valves. The cutouts a little bit smaller. So overall the same. Let's check our intake. Look at the intake on that. Anyway, you can see how beautiful that one is compared to what this one looks like. Totally different. Let's flip it over to the exhaust side. That's another big deal. There's that. Here's the stock. The stock hole is so much smaller. Yeah, I think this this race head's gonna make this a lot better than just the big bore kit. But when I come back in tomorrow, we'll start putting that head together. That way we can get it back onto the bike and start putting everything back together on it. Okay, since my camera so rudely decided to die on me the last time that I record this, I'm gonna separate the build on this bike up into 3 or 4 different episodes or parts or whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna separate it into a few because there's a lot of footage that I got, and the first video I've edited is literally just tearing the bike down, and I got a 23-minute video. I don't think you guys wanna sit for an hour-and-a-half video. That's besides the point. The bike's done. This is probably a month later. We went and rode the bike and stuff, and man, it rips. It absolutely flies for what it is and like what he has in it. So I'm gonna end this video here. If you like, watching this stuff and you want to see the rest of this build, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Like the video if you like the video.